Thank you very much for the follow. I have followed you back. Right, good man. I hope you're good. And this Pisces, baby. How are you? I hope you're good. That's Yena Makasimba. Thank you very much for coming through, JT. Really say, I hope you're good. I see Mkoma Monuya in the building. Thank you very much, Baroness RM. Thank you very much for coming through. Denzel, how are you? Singles, really say. Tamsang, how you doing? I hope you are good. And everybody who has joined, the platform, thank you very much for coming through. I hope you are good this Sunday. Sunday, the 12th, the 12th, 12th, Sunday, 11, 12 America. But anyway, thank you very much, for coming through. Right, so, we are here, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about the visit to the PRECABE farm. I'm quite sure most of you guys have been following, have been watching everything, what went down, today, or what is still, going on. I don't know whether, that feeds. I don't know whether, they finished that. I don't know whether they are now on a tour of feeding the fish. I don't know whether they are now on a tour of looking at Maguire. I don't know whether they are on a tour. I don't know. But we all witnessed that these MPs, it was reported last week that MPs were going to be visiting the farm, but when it was reported last week, it was as if they were going the last Sunday. But it was then said that they would go, to, this Sunday, which is, today. But something, that is interesting that happened. I got this, from, my sources. This visit was supposed to be a visit of the opposition MPs alone. So they were supposed to visit this farm last week as opposition MPs. But because there was resistance, or there were some people that were not for the idea, if these MPs had visited last week, it was going to be only a handful of these MPs. Right? Because the majority of the opposition MPs, the CCC MPs, some of them, they did not want, or they do not want to be seen like he participated in such of in these events. So this is why Mangawona Vana Donzamsoro, last week, they just went on a tirade about, hey, you should visit the farm, Moses Kwakurima, hey, Njani, hey, this. He was giving us a narrative of how he got a farm, how he got cattle from a farmer, what, trying to have a buy-in into this, charade. So it didn't happen, last time. But it happened this time around because it was then said, Kutiz, okay, let us make it a whole parliament thing. Yeah, let's make it a whole parliament thing. And that was in the hope that it would then persuade some of those MPs to want to take along. And the reason for that, with anything to do with parliament, you understand? Allowances. So it was hoped, if they do this as a parliament thing, it will create that buy-in and have as many of these MPs, especially the opposition members of parliament, to go and attend, that thing. Forget about the ZANU PF, members of parliament. If they want to go and visit there, they can go and visit there anytime. It's a non-event. After all, it might not be even an event that, they will publicize. But this one here, it was an event that needed to be publicized. So the inclusion of the opposition MP is the real news here. Nothing more, nothing less. But that right there is the real news. Don't use Zacho. Nobody nyaya. Because these guys, they've attended. And you see different narratives, that are being, created. Could always Mnangagwa is the number one farmer in the land. So by visiting the, the model farm, these guys, they can start to see what is going on and hopefully come about. I mean, hopefully start to be creating, policies, whatever. Zvinoenderana neagriculture. Haina neta nevana. Aunotaka pachikamu chekuzorora sokuti ya pakaipa makwikwi, right? But anyway, haina neta. Oh. Right, anyway, ndofunga one of my videos anotenderera, and there was a group that was wearing my white caps. My white caps here akanyorwa pamberi apa kuti izo resolution number 1. And if you saw pane video and a poster, panzizo sumza kepi, mdenga, they were waving, those caps. That is by design. That was by design. They were waving those caps because those caps are written resolution number 1. What is resolution number 1? It was the resolution of the ZANU PF conference. You're going to extend the tenure of Emerson Mnangagwa to 2030. So that is the resolution number 1. So if this visit was just about, this MP is going to see the farm or probably, learn 1 or 2 things about farming, what was the resolution number 1 thing, doing, what was this all about, this resolution, number 1? So that right there tells you that there's more to this visit than meets the eye. There's more to this visit than, this narrative that, they just want to see the farm. Emerson Mnangagwa is the number 1 farmer. It's a model farm. You can go there and learn some tips about farming, or you can learn how, he's doing it so that policies can be crafted around, the issue of farming for the benefit of every Zimbabwean. If he's doing it without a policy, why can't another one, did it without a policy? Does that really need a policy? What policy, can be made out of that? Could one, could okay, maybe zvangu ndini ndega ndakasara mumashure, but handizivi kuti chii chiri. But okay, there's some people that were saying we need to know the names of the people, that attended. Right. Ndofunga, we have all seen Chabangu. We have all seen Chabangu there. Anga, because he's the leader of the opposition. And he was actually sitting at the high table. Chabangu. There are not two, you are Ningi, I think as Chabangu, anenge Ningi, Agatungo for focus. But anyway, in the names that I don't know gonna find the but also my names. The names that lose here in the Parachabangu, Ndaona Senator Pulu, he was there. Ndaona Mai Togozani Kupe, she was there. Ndaona Anzi Varipo Vanonzi Otilia Sibanda. I think she's one of those PR, representatives. She was there. And then ndaona futi varipo vanonzi anzi Mloshwa something. Yes. She was there. And right. So those are the names that I've seen and that have been confirmed, by others. I don't know if there are any others because I saw a table. I'm quite sure there are others as well. But some of them I don't know them, by names. But the majority of them, they were not there. Naona huenda Robiga zake nikipoti yake mazondo. Honorable Wendorobika zaupoti yawe mazondo. Honorable Mateo vari kuAmerica, hanzizo ndiri kuAmerica. ende pane vamwe vanhu vanga vanya kudyara Joanna Mamombe ipapo. No, Joanna Mamombe was not there. Amai Kore, I did not see her, she was not there. But there were, I think, a good number of them. That would have attended anyway. This done, the previous week. No one knows. You are a right. And there's another one. That MP, when you talk about Charles Moyo Ush, according to what I have, is an individual. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Apologies. I hope you can hear me now. Apologies. Sorry. Apologies. That one's wicked. It's my emojis. Now that you still know I complain na yangu. It's my emojis do this one again. My own is where. Okay. Saka, you couldn't hear me, the last minute, right? But okay, what I was saying is in the last minute, right, Mofu, I was gonna say,
Uncle Muribo.
sorry, nangana bada mouthpiece.
Yeah, you did, but we can hear you now.
Right, okay. Saka, it is Sunday.
I wataba ako tanamata takunamatirai.
Anidia.
Iri bota mirira kubata basa pa maganas.
Aiwa, ningiri nasu tukwazvambura.
Yeah.
Right.
Pakaipa.
But anyway, so what I was saying is there's another one, I know the Charles Moyo. Charles Moyo, if you remember, is one of those people who benefited Ninya Yemarikos. Is now an MP Kumpopo Mamzlekas. Saga is one of the guys who benefited, from that. So, when these statements are being attributed to him, you can then put two and two together and see where this is, coming from, and see who is behind, that. Saga, what I want to believe, Mofoga Bandezoguti, we are now beginning to see the pieces of the puzzle falling into place now. In as far as the 2030 agenda, is concerned. We know Kuti at law, it was being said, Kuti, that is quite, impossible on the basis here, Kuti, there are amendments that needs to be done and referendums that needs to be carried out, and with the time frames involved and everything. Emerson Mnangagwa may not get his two-thirds, I mean his third term out of following that process, starting to amend section 91 of the constitution that speaks about the term limits, and then going on into to look into the other sections that deal with the issue of the referendum. I can't remember what section that is from the top of my head. And then this issue of the two-thirds majority in parliament, in both houses of parliament, before asking people to do a referendum on the issue of the term limits. And if he wants to benefit from that term limit again, then there has to be another amendment, and then a referendum that says that Emerson Mnangagwa can benefit from the amendment, the term limit amendment. So the people, that are saying it is too laborious. It is a long process. It demands quite a lot. So that avenue, right there, even though it is possible that he can have his third term via the process. it is just too involving. So there's this other one, that is being, spoken about, right now, whereby somehow we don't do elections in 2028. We postpone those elections, we push them to 2030 or possibly 2033, and that way Emerson Mnangagwa can have, his 2/3. And for that, to happen, there has to be a buy-in from the MPs, because remember, if Emerson Mnangagwa is going to be getting his third term by the push or by the postponement of the elections, it would also mean that these MPs would also benefit alongside him, because if he extends this tenure by 2 years, if it is possible to do that, extend it by 2 years, it means the life of the parliament will also be extended by 2 years, thereby these guys benefiting from that extension that would have happened. You heard Minister Garwe speaking, saying, "Could yes, we are with the resolution number one, and we will do everything that we." He actually said that there are so many ways of skinning an elephant. It's either you can start from the trunk, you can start from the behind, you can start from the leg, you can start from wherever you choose to be the starting point in terms of skinning elephant. There's so many ways. So he was pointing to, there's so many ways to get Emerson Mnangagwa to have his 2/3. I mean, his third term. So that is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm opening up, the space. You can have your say. You can say what you want about whatever it is that has happened today, or whatever it is that I said. If I am misplaced, if just waffling, hallucinating, it's okay. And you can say what you want. So the space is now open. I'm now accepting, my request. And then let us have, this conversation. So I'm going to start with you, Mof. Please, if you want to say something before we bring in, the speakers.
Yeah. I'm just trying to catch up, Uncle. But down a red carpet, is that correct?
Correct, Kabini.
Pakaipa. But
Red
why
carpet,
red carpet?
Gasari.
Why red carpet though? I mean, Anditu Kufamu is traditionally kune practicality, grassroots connection. Saka red carpet dechi in the PR.
I think in Iwaka, did you was the best today? Wapina Mtende.
Right. So vaenda unoitireko naye uncle. Hanzi, do you know what's the purpose? Is it learning? Is it kunoratidzwa farm? Is it
Ah,
kunoudzwa zvinhu vari mutende? Vachaenda kufarm here right? What's actually happening? Vaenda unoite vanhu ava.
right. I think Banabaka we've got give vanhu vakaenda sana Herbert Gomba, former mayor. I
Mhm.
see I saw no rest in there as well. I hope they can help in shedding light. Could vana vanyasoenda kunotsvaga HSS,
That's the question. That's the question because, and I think it's very important. Thank you for giving some of these names out, and I'm sure by the end of it we'll get all the names of those that have attended. I think it's very important for the citizens. But
yeah.
it's nothing, Uncle. But it's just tacit endorsement of it is 2030 from the way I see it, Uncle. It's really it's unashamed for it. Chete, if you look at the Van Wacho Harikweko, the MPs Wacho, who was called to be in opposition, surely Chabangu, everybody knows who he is and what he represents. So I think this thing is all clear. But I mean, we should stop talking about these guys as opposition, because honestly, if you are in opposition and you are there, Mchito, that's the same thing. Until you find out people coming and defending, having gone to Chitepo ideology. Yet you are an MP of the opposition, and you go there where it's ZANU PF ideology that you are being taught, and you try and justify on that. So I think, if anything, I mean, we
And,
all know.
and you get told by the first lady how to oppose in parliament.
Is that what she did?
Oh yes, hanzi kana muri parliament imomo make sure kuti musangopikisa musangoita nharo but itai nharo dziri constructive.
I need to listen to that. Yeah, my one. Anyway,
Vakaiva. But anyway.
Yeah, let's hear the others while I catch up.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to start with Macbeth, and then I'll call upon no rest, Marara, to come through. So Macbeth, can you quickly come through, please?
Thank you guys. Thank you nokuhosta space after zvinosetsa kudai zvaitika muZimbabwe. Otherwise hapana chakashata kuti headmaster vanodzidzisa pane chimwe chikoro vasheedze maticha wavo kuti uyai muone zviri mukilasi mako. Asi kana vachiita zvisina zvinekakutsarudzana vachida kungopuruvha vamwe kuti ndinogona kudarika vamwe, hapana chavanenge vachiita. Chandafara nacho ndechekuti macitizens we've got a say. Vese varega kuenda asi tichiziva kuti ndo vari kuenabla Mnangagwa varega kuenda just because we have said something. Otherwise let's now tell us something vangadei vatoriko sezvaita Chavamwe uyo agara atongova enabla. So what we have been loud and vamwe vatanga kubudisa vachibika nyama dzavo vamwe vakati kuAmerica vamwe ngadini kuti we are not there. I'm very happy kuti sema citizens chese chatinoita o chatinotaura chinoklika mumusoro iye vari kuda kuti 2030 mantra idini iendere mberi. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I like your thinking right there, because if you look at how this is now being framed, it is now being framed as parliament is attended. So all 210 MPs have attended. So whether you are there or whether you're not there, but the narrative that is being carried, or that is being carried forward, is to say good to Parliament of Zimbabwe had visited Emerson Mnangagwa Square. But anyway, thank you very much for that. Right. No rest, Marara, how are you doing?
Yes, Mkoma Uncle Mrisei. How are you, listeners?
Thank you very much for joining us. Right. Hey, mukatibatsiro here kuziva kuti vanhu vaendereko vana.
From the look of things, kune this 2030 ED what vamwe vakuiti 2033, vamwe 2035, but it's very clear from my own assessment that this is a ZANU PF attempt to twist, or maybe rather to lure my MPs Edward Parliament to their agenda. They want to buy the loyalty these guys end up. But nyaya yangu zvangu pairi Mkoma Uncle iri pakuti tisingava criminalize stereki vanhu ivava. It was given kuti they were going to go. Nyaya yangu iri pakuti who are these guys and vakabva nekupi. I think tikadaro zvinogona kutibatsira. We know we say they've sold out, but who are they and vakabva nekupi? How did they get into parliament? Anti muri kuzviona. Then it brings us kunyaya yekuti as opposition right now hakuna chinhu, hakuna mutsvene, akachena chaiye hakuna. That's what I would want to say, because vanhu ivava vakanzi ndo vatsvene pavakasarudzwa. I think if we go back, it goes back to how they were selected as candidates and how they got into parliament. Saka inini for me ndo patori nenyaya zvekuenda kufamwa havakatoenda kudhara. These are now ZANU PF. They are no longer on the side of the people. Anti mukuzvona. Saka that's where the real problem is for me, kuti vakagara vatoita move on and vato move on the ZANU PF side. But the real agenda yekuenda PRECABE farm today ndeyeku extend a term ya president. When parliament is called to amend whatever amendments dzinodiwa, these guys will play ball. Saka they've become willing to support the operation yevana veZimbabwe by ZANU PF, by the clueless ZANU PF government. Ende takazviona kumashure uku mazuva atambofamba ona naMonzora, takazoburana taona kuti taakuitiswa zvezanu pano. So this is another Monzora type of thing. In fact, vana Monzora ndo vakatanga kupusha nyaya yekuti no elections for 2023. And my elections akaitwa and they were out. So the same guys vari kungoita vana Chavangu and this Kabao vari kungoita the same thing that we saw on Monzora. It's Monzora part 2. But the intention is to extend the term of the president beyond 2028, constitutionally mandated. Thank you, Mkoma Uncle.
Right, okay. Yeah, Pakaiba, thank you very much for that. Right. Mkoma Jabulo, really say.
No, I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. Is this a Monzora party too?
But Andrea, I just want us to, I know we are political in our approach, but I would like us to take a step back and look at the broader vision and what is the objective of all these events. Why is ZANU PF so invested in the opposition when in national fact should not be invested in the opposition in the first place? Why is the ruling party so invested in making sure who and capturing the opposition? It's because in a broader sense, ZANU PF lacks leadership, lacks quality leadership. This is why they are saying, no, let's extend Mnangagwa's term so that in the meanwhile, they'll try to raise a candidate who is being favored by the people. Let's be honest today. If ever let's say we wake up tomorrow, we have an election, who if Mnangagwa is not there, who do you think is going to be able to challenge on a free and on a fair platform? Who is going to be able to stand as a perfect candidate to become president of Zimbabwe? Let's be honest with that. And we are not seeing through the facade of ZANU PF, because they are trying to create all these activities to overshadow the real problem that they are facing as a political party, which is they don't have leadership. They don't even have a succession plan. They have not groomed. Why does it make sense to people that support ZANU PF to push him to say, let's extend his term? All right, fine. Let's all agree in this space. Let's extend Mnangagwa's term. But before we extend his term, let's go through an election. And let's see how many Zimbabweans in a free and in a democratic space, how many people are going to re-vote that same guy in a free manner. So these are the challenges that these guys have seen. They've seen that people don't favor them. They've seen that their lifespan is running out. ZANU PF is going down. They have no way to resuscitate ZANU PF besides destroying the opposition. So the whole agenda is that they should have a fair competitor so that they seem successful. It's like you getting there and shooting your competitor and think they're the best. And this is what ZANU PF has created. And this whole thing, let's go to the farm, let's do this. You have a system which is very clear. Neon Chamisa was the president of CCC, announced and recognized that he is the president. And you sit in a parliament where he writes a letter and the speaker does not recognize the president of a political party, and he simply recognizes someone who has come through and is imposing themselves and saying, no, I'm the Secretary General. In a normal sense, guys, we need to sit down and as Zimbabweans and reflect on the bigger goal. Why is ZANU PF so vested? It's because ZANU PF is a failing party, and it is failing within itself. It is failing to raise leaders. It is failing to raise quality leadership that is appealing to the masses. It is failing within its own structure. This is why it is bringing in the opposition so that it kills the opposition and it maintains ultimate power. If Mnangagwa was as good as what ZANU PF purported, let's go through the fair channels. Why are you pushing Vision 2030-33 or Vision 2030? Why don't you put for reforms and push for free play and you give Mnangagwa the 10th the ballot? And let's see how many people are going to want Mnangagwa to come in and be the president of Zimbabwe at the end of the day. So they are trying to deal with their internal leadership crisis through prolonging Mnangagwa's term. It has nothing to do with Zimbabweans, because I'll tell you one thing: in any nation, the vision and the development of the nation can be taken over by anyone. Today, you become the president of any country, you look at developmental programs that are pending or that have been there, and you take them over and you push them forward, and you make sure the projects that are being done, they are fulfilled, they are in their time. So why is it difficult for ZANU PF to realize that leading a nation cannot be pushed to an individual, but it could be pushed to the next leader? Let's have the next leader coming in and pushing the agenda that we have left behind. So I think ZANU PF is trying to hide the fact that they don't have quality leadership, they don't have appealing people, and they don't have people that are able to hold ZANU PF by force like what Mnangagwa has done. Because when he came in through force, and he forced the people to support him. Remember, 9 out of 10 said we don't want Mnangagwa. 9 out of 10 provinces said we don't want. What happened to the 9 out of 10? They willingly changed their minds overnight when Mnangagwa came back. These are serious questions that we should be asking the ZANU PF people. So their lack of leadership and their lack of preparedness and their lack within ZANU PF to create and develop succession plan. This is why they are burdening the country. Now we have to see 30 as Zimbabweans, because within their own institute, they have failed to have a succession plan. This is why we have to accept Mnangagwa as if he has a bigger vision. There is no bigger vision. Who is going to take over after Mnangagwa? And why is this person quiet about all these things? Doesn't he want his opportunity to come up and be seen and be recognized and start campaigning that he should be president? I've seen here in South Africa with ANC, we already know people have been tipped. Right now we are talking is 2025. Ramaphosa won't be there in 2029. So what is going to happen with ANC? Already right now we know the people that might succeed Ramaphosa. We know there is Paul Mashatile. We know there is Panyaza. We know there are also others that are going to come up. And it's already known. These guys are already positioning themselves. If ZANU PF is as democratic as it purports to be, where are the successors? Why are they quiet? If this is a sign to us as Zimbabwe that ZANU PF has been captured, it's no longer as democratic as these guys want us to believe it to be. Someone is pulling the strings, and it's not the popular, it's not the consensus of everyone who is in ZANU PF. This is why only a few are speaking. And I'll say this in landing, my brother. Why would someone who is not in parliament instructing parliamentarians on how they should debate in parliament? I don't think that lady is qualified to even speak to the parliamentarians, because no one voted for her to be where she is. You can't instruct voted people to be taught by someone who does not hold any position, because being a first lady, that thing maybe we can say it's sexually transmitted. It has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with her. But anyway, thank you, Peter.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Right. Let us move on. Let me hear Tino. Can you come through, please?
Thank you, Uncle Gerard. Thank you very much. Thank you, Uncle Titus, for hosting this space. Everyone who is in this space, very good discussion. But Uncle, but there's some angle that I'm disagreeing with everyone. I'm gonna be frank enough that people, they are saying these people went to PRECABE farm to extend Mnangagwa's term. I'm not agreeing with that part of saying to extend Mnangagwa. These are like-minded peoples. These are like-minded people. When they went there, they are doing it also for themselves, not only from Mnangagwa, right? These people, all of them, including Mr. E.D. Mnangagwa, they are unelectable people. So when the only thing that they can sort to continue being in power, or for also these MPs to continue being in parliament, enjoying the state funds and all everything, the benefits that they're getting from parliament, is to go to PRECABE farm and get to know each other with Mr. Mnangagwa's plan to say, guys, this is what we need to do. We need to break the constitution so that we continue benefiting from the state. So how are we going to do that? You guys, you are in the parliament. So in the parliament, let's say there's no elections 2028, and you also, you are not going to go for elections, so that there's no one who is going to be removing you from parliament. And also it is going to be good for me as the ED, I'm going to continue being president. I'm going to continue protecting you. We know how Tsabangu came into power there. There's no one who voted him. He was a nobody. He was just being put there. And most of those people that were in PRECABE farm, they don't have any political capital to actually go and canvassing people to elect them or to the electorate, right? So the only way for them to continue enjoying the fruits of the state is going to PRECABE farm. So these are like-minded people who just gathered to see how they can continue looting. So these are den of thieves. So PRECABE farm is becoming a den of thieves or a den of unconstitutional people gathering there to actually find a way on how they can rob our country. The only thing that I'm worried about the PRECABE farm, what they are doing, is because I'm not someone who is more of national security, but I can tell from afar that it become a national security threat, because what they are doing, they are now breeding terrorists. That is what is happening there at PRECABE farm, because whatever they are planning there is unconstitutional. After, let's say they agree to extend the constitution or to let Mr. Mnangagwa continue being in power like what it is. In the last elections, it was much better. The way we say he stole elections. We know that he stole elections, but there is no one who can go and say, he's just to say, I win the elections, and it was more. But here now, it's becoming more unconstitutional what they are planning to do, and everyone is going to be knowing that this is very unconstitutional.
Okay, Tino, if they do decide to invoke, whatever it is that they can invoke, or if they do decide to want to say we want to amend, the constitution, how is that unconstitutional when the mechanism is there for them to do that?
How are they going to amend the constitution? Because the constitution is clear that the incumbent is not supposed to benefit from that. So but how are they going to do it? No, let's say they do that. Yes, they do that. But how are they going to pass that test of saying the incumbent must not benefit from that clause?
They'll simply amend that part of the constitution that says that.
How are they going to do that? That's where my challenge is, because it's not possible for them to do that.
It is possible. It is possible, but I think it just appeals, to the moral aspect. In fact, I can't even bring in the issue of morality. So, but politicians are politicians.
Yes.
They can
I agree with that.
That they feel like they want to do. You understand? But I am just saying that as it stands, right now.
Yes.
Given the provisions that are there in the Constitution, because one thing that we need to be aware of is that Constitution can be changed.
Yeah, but right? the way because they can change it, how are they going to change it to meet him to be there? Because already right now We already know that it's actually impossible for them to do that.
Right.
We know that
Okay,
it's
this is
impossible
how-
for them to do that. So the only way they are going to do it, it's going to be an unconstitutional way of doing it. For example, like what they did with Malaba. We know that it's unconstitutional. He's there unconstitutional. They increased his term limits, unconstitutional. It's like forcing the people. No one who agreed on that, and we know that they are abusing all the state power that they have to do those things. So that's the same thing that is going to apply here. So that's why I'm now saying it's going to become a national security issue if they continue doing that, because there are now people who are also not going to be happy with that. Here we're not talking only about the people in opposition. We're also talking about the people who are there in ZANU PF as well. Because it's not only that it's him only who wants to be in power. There are also some who are in line to come to be in power within the ZANU PF itself. And within the security cluster as well. So that's where the security issue is going to come into play. We will see another coup again. And we know, I can say the previous coup that made Mr. Mnangagwa become the president, the other party, I will say Mugabe became actually a bigger person. He didn't resist that coup. If they had to resist that coup, there was going to be a very terrible bloodshed that was going to happen. Is it going to be the case right now if that kind of a setup happened again? That's where the problem it is. So that's why I say this PRECABE farm thing, it's becoming more of a national threat. We are seeing what is happening in other countries, right? We have the setup which is happening in Sudan. We see what is happening in Mozambique. We see what is happening in Congo. We see what is happening in these other countries. So that is the situation that we have. Because wherever there is no the constitution is not being followed, no one is going to be following it up. We are breeding terrorists. They will come also saying, they will find a way to come in and convince other people within our country to do the same things. So it becomes more of a security issue, the PRECABE farm thing. And on that, these people, we can blame them, but but we say these people, they go to there to PRECABE farm as who? For sure, they go there as people who have their agenda to continue enjoying the privileges of being in parliament, because right now no one, like for example Shabang, no one put him in parliament. They put themselves there. So we don't have anything to do with them. Like no one in this space who can say, Tabang, we are waiting for him for 2028. But did we even put him there? No one put him there. They did themselves there. It's useless for us to even debate about these people. They are just doing what they think it's gonna be, and even to call them opposition, I'm not sure if they are opposition. These are like-minded people who gathered to do whatever their objectives which they are forwarding. They are just abusing the name parliament, and to say these are opposition people, they are abusing that way. These are like-minded people who are pursuing their objectives.
All right. Okay.
That's all. Thanks.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, for that. Right. I think, ladies and gentlemen, we need also to be, looking into this aspect here, constitutionalism. Yeah, the constitutionality of some of the actions, that can be taken to make Emerson Mnangagwa's third term, a reality. Because the constitution can be amended, right? Amend section 91, section 91(2). That one can be amended. It can be amended to say that we want to abolish the term limits, because that's the one that speaks to the issue of my term limits. So it can be amended to say, Guti, maybe let's change it to 3 terms, or we abolish, the term limits, altogether. But for that, to be undertaken, there's also section 328 of the Constitution that speaks to the processes that needs to be done for the term limits to be amended. So if you go to section 328, it tells you the steps, like, coming up with the bill, and that bill, is gazetted. When it is gazetted, then public comments, 90 days public comments, then kana usinge zvadaro rodzokera muparliament roenda through portfolio committees, that stage, then rabva ipapo rakudhibhetwa futi zvakare muparliament, and in parliament ndofanira kana vanhu vakuzovhota, it must get 2/3. Roenda futi kusenate, ronowana 2/3. Razobva kusenate rakuenda kupi, kumhomhoni ngevanhu. Vanhu ndovanozoita pareferendum, yes or no. Those are the only two questions. Should the term limits be abolished, or should the term limits be extended, yes or no? Those are the only two questions. If it is yes, then that one, now it means kuti izvo nyaya yema-term limits, an amendment yema-term limits inenge yaitwa. And then what then needs to happen now again for it to benefit Emerson Mnangagwa? Because as it stands, if this is followed as it stands, if a term limit is abolished, or if they do decide to say Gutiso, we are now extending the term limits to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, 10. And then what it means according to the constitution as it stands right now, Mnangagwa should not be benefiting from that. But they can amend that as well. By following the amendments, the process of amending the constitution, yekuti vanoenda a bill rinodhaftwa against that part of the constitution inotaura kuti the incumbent must not be benefiting from the amendment of the constitution. Follow through those process, get a 2/3 majority, go to the referendum, yes or no. If it says yes, Emerson Mnangagwa will benefit. But you are looking at my time frames of making this a reality. Maybe this is why this is becoming so topical now, because of these permanent days of consultation, 3 months high, because we are almost in the second year of his presidency. There's 3 more years. It means there will be ample time. Our parliament becomes seized with debating that issue. Emerson Mnangagwa achiita another term, another term. Saka if it is another term, kuri kuti approve or this pinda for another term, what it then means is kuti but 20, if we decide to hold an election 2028, then Mnangagwa will come in as the presidential candidate under ZANU PF, and we go through that election cycle again. That is one way. And then kuti angoti geje pa 2030 yake is the one yokuti they can say Gutizo, we want to postpone the elections. We know Gutizo, our constitution says Gutizo, every 5 years we must do my elections. Is it easy to just go in and amend that part of the constitution that speaks about my elections, or the abolishing my elections? Then again, it is a matter for the legal, for the legal people, those that have got the minds and the brains, to be talking about issue, constitution. But I just thought Gutizo, I talk about this so that we get to a point of understanding that if this thing happens in the way it is being proposed, or in the way they want it to happen, if they follow the constitution, they do this, that argument of it being unconstitutional ceases to exist. Vozopedzera zvikange zvangoitwa zvese izvi vanopedzera kuti Mnangagwa apedzera ngoti I'm a constitutionalist. I am following what the constitution says. But at the end of the day, we just want to look at kuti, why can we not just leave things as they are? Continue with what we have known. What's so special about what Emerson Mnangagwa is doing in his presidency that another president cannot come in and do? Why should he be getting this preferential treatment that they want to give him and accord him more years just because I want these animal projects are quit and he needs to see those projects into fruition. Are you telling me, Gutizo, there's no one in ZANU PF that can carry on his mandate, or I mean on his since Makatuza, Gutizo, you are not going to bring out a manifesto because you already have the NDS one, and now we are moving into the NDS two. That is the ZANU PF, manifesto. If it comes the election at 2028, if somebody comes in, are you telling me Gutizo is going to be going away or is going to be stopping from pursuing that 2030 manifesto agenda yakasetwa nezanu PF pa-election ya 2023? Because you told us Gutizo, you're not going to be giving us a manifesto because your manifesto is already there. But anyway, what my stand is. Right. Tapsang, as you say, can you come in, please?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, my brother Ndo. I couldn't hear some of your speakers, the last two, but I could hear you. So
Right.
I hope it's all good. Now, I want to add a very different voice to the tone that was started. I think Zimbabwe as a country, we need to change our politics. I saw somebody using beautiful words like the contestation narrative must be changed. There's absolutely no need between elections. Once elections are over, there's absolutely no need to be sabotaging each other, to be at each other's throats, to introduce toxicity in politics, to be hating each other. You know, when Ramaphosa is seen laughing with Julius Malema and Zuma and others, it's actually praised as mature politics. So I think as a country, we need to stop this idea that if you are belonging to a different political party or ideology or belief, then you are an enemy to the others. It's you present your manifesto or your whatever you have at elections, the people choose, whoever they choose will be in office for the duration between those elections. But this idea that if you see two people from different political parties having dinner together, then Paita Mtengesi or Mtengis, I think it's bad politics. We need to change that as a country. This is why some countries end up having genocides, because that's how it started in Rwanda. It was just that, oh, you are Hutu, you are Tutsi, you are this. In the end, people killed each other like in a bad way. I think we have to stop that kind of politics. So I'm disappointed that some of your speakers already have come up with a tone that suggests that people going to Kwekwe today, that somehow that was not a good thing. For me, I'm actually celebrating that, and I'll tell you why. I'm celebrating that because Zimbabwe has just changed the way that title for the 99-year lease that people have for the land is done. And that farm is one of those that already has title in line with the new policy. One of the roles of parliament is to actually see whether this land is being used for what it is said to be used for. Whether that scheme actually works, whether there's actually work there that's happening. So it is a beautiful thing that all the, and I'm disappointed in the MPs that didn't go, because then they won't be able to make that contribution. The country needs leadership. And that leadership means that the parliamentarians that we elected must be going to these places like this farm and others to see how things are working. And then they come and legislate in parliament. If giving people title is not the right thing, if these farms are not being put to production, then those farms should be taken back. If the farm is being used, what is it that's happening on that farm that's working? Then it can be done in other places as well, so that the country can have food security. The farm, I think the country can have an economy that works. That is the role of parliament. And these parliamentarians were right to go in going there. It doesn't matter who owns the farm. The next thing is, I'll give you another example. I heard that one of the opposition leaders owns a logistic company that was working for Kushungo and others. If that company is working very well, the Ministry of Industry and Parliament should go there and see whether this is an example that can be replicated elsewhere. The same, I heard that one of the opposition leaders is the biggest pig farmer in the country. Parliament must go there, go to Mrewa and see this big, beautiful pig farm. What is it that is working there?
But it's not a pig farm, Kamkoma. It's only a plot. You know,
No, it doesn't
he's
matter.
only
All I'm
doing it
saying,
on a plot. He doesn't have a big farm.
no. All I'm saying is, even if you are a goat farm or you bought a goat farm, it doesn't matter. All I'm saying is, it is the role of Parliament to be going to these places and see what works, what doesn't work, because they have to hold. Remember, the issues of land are part of the reason why we have this kind of politics of contestation, and we've got foreign interest in the country. Parliament must be going to these places and see what works, what doesn't work, so that they can do their job and legislate properly in Parliament. I would be disappointed if parliamentarians go to see Gwai Shangani or Chilek Chivero and people start saying, why did you go there? They go to Lechwero because they have to see what's happening there. They come back to Parliament, they debate, they legislate, they change things, they suggest how those things can be put into better use. That is the purpose of a visit like that. And it doesn't have to be that farm alone. It can be other farms as well. And then I think somehow the issue of 2030 was raised. I think, again, if we talk about the politics and the contestation, I actually agree with the guys who were saying that what needs to be discussed really is not 2030, but about political and legal reforms and constitutional reforms that are needed in the country to change how Zimbabwe does its politics. We must move away. I don't know. I mean, I'm from Matebeleland, as you can tell from my accent.
Mm-hmm.
I lived through the difficulties of the 80s. But I'm also convinced that if in 1980, Zimbabwe had been a one-party state, what happened with Gukurahundi would not have happened. Because at that time, there would not have been political parties who believed that the other is an enemy. And I have seen that over the years as I was growing and working, doing whatever work I was doing, that every time there are political parties, there's violence, there's hatred, there's toxicity, there's community divisions, there's sabotage from one end to the other. So I think Zimbabwe as a whole needs, if the constitution is going to be addressed, people need to be asking that very simple question. What do we benefit from having these political divisions? Why is Rwanda, that is technically a one-party state, working? Why is Singapore, a country that has a one-party state system, working? Why is China the only country that is able to take 2/3 of its population out of poverty in 20 years? Because, the Americans can do this politics. The British can do that politics because they already have roads. They already have houses. They already have schools. They can shout at each other in parliament. The impact and the society are different. When you fight in parliament in a country that still needs a borehole, a clinic, a school, food for people, and you stop the entire process from happening, it does not work. That's why China is able. Imagine if China was a democracy in the manner that the Americans are, they would not have been able to achieve what they've been able to achieve. Because they spend all that time squabbling and fighting and killing one another every time there are elections.
Right.
But China changes leadership quicker than the democracies in Europe. And that is the dilemma. So I think Zimbabwe needs to have a homegrown constitution that speaks to an electoral process that removes the element of toxicity between political parties and beliefs and players. You can continue to have as many political parties as you can, but remove the incentive to kill the next person just because they're a political rival.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Let's hear what others, will say. But yeah, it was quite an interesting, submission. Right. Let's.
Sorry, Ango Jet, to just correct the previous speaker. He said Singapore is a one-party state, which is not correct. That is not correct. So I think we need to correct facts and people talk about facts, not to talk things which are not correct.
Yeah, I don't know
Thank
the
you.
democracy in Singapore. I wouldn't know. I mean, I have not. I've not. I've not. I mean, anyway, I don't know. I
No,
don't know.
Singapore is technically a one-party state. Because Lee Kuan Yew was there, and then his son took over, and then now they are putting Young. They don't have time to be squabbling amongst themselves. Every MP is working for the country.
It's not a one-party state. That's the question.
Are you saying Gudizo, by the son, taking over, it makes it a one-party state?
No.
Saying?
I'm simply saying ever since they had that independence and division from Malaysia, they have had one. Okay, so here's the thing. I said to you, Joe, you are talented. I need you.
They don't have a
ZBC can
one-party
also
state.
be better with you. ZBC is not
But
a
I'm saying,
better
just
institution
to
without
facts,
the likes of you.
it's
So
not a one-party state.
what's that?
It's not. There's
What's
nothing to build over it.
Yes.
It's not.
What's
True.
that?
Singapore is not
So
a
you
one-party
can't
state.
build a fantasy over what the government is. So you want us to mimic a one-party state?
No. I'm not
Called
saying that.
but it's not.
No, Siswami, ngithe mina.
Yes, so you can't give
We
us
must
a simulated one-party state.
ngicela ukukhuluma ngiqede kwenzela ukuthi ngehle. Ngithe mina,
Awungayehli
we as Zimbabwe, Singaporeans have done something that works for them.
They didn't.
What do you mean?
Singaporeans didn't do that.
Singapore
If they
have a
wanted
system
to,
that
they
works.
would have just
The
constitutionally
Chinese have a
made
system that works for them. The
It
Americans have
doesn't.
a
It's a
system that
forced
works
one
for
on
them.
No,
No.
it's not.
Okay, let's leave it. Let's leave it. Let's
No,
leave it.
let's
All
not
I'm
leave
saying
it.
is,
Let's just tell the truth.
no, the truth is Zimbabwe
You
has
can't
an imposed
fantasize over their
constitutional
country.
order that has not worked. Must.
No, just check is it. If it was what the Singaporeans wanted, they would have just created it like that. They haven't.
Did. They did.
No, it's not a one-party state.
Okay.
It's not a one-party. It's been called that.
Okay.
In the same way that ZANU PF is attempting to achieve one.
No, all I'm saying, Uncle Jet, I don't want to clash with my sister. All I'm saying, we don't want to be pedantic about these things. All I'm saying, Uncle Jet, is we as Zimbabweans, we got this Lancaster House-based system, multi-party democracy system, that has resulted in many deaths over the years. That has resulted in community divisions. That has resulted in Kukura wound and other things. We as Zimbabweans, we need to get to a point where we say, can we decide what constitutional order, political system, electoral system? Nah, I was involved in that project. It wasn't addressing that question.
But what you've said is not a fact. Lancaster House didn't establish multi-parties. We had multi-parties pre-Lancaster House.
Right. Okay. I have. Okay. I have just googled. I've just googled. Yeah, Singapore in its parliament has got two opposition. There are two opposition parties in the 14th parliament of Singapore as
Yep.
of 2020.
Yep.
The dominance of the PAP are often to the extent that there is no effective opposition, has led to Singapore being described as a one-party state, which is more or less like what is being tried in Zimbabwe to not have an effective opposition. That way, you can then talk about ZANU PF, the country as a one-party state. But anyway, let us not be
Why
bogged down.
didn't he mention Swaziland? Why didn't he want what's happening? Swaziland
Let us
has
not
a
be
monarchy.
bogged down, to
Yeah,
that.
I mean, why do people always fantasize over other countries and don't want to adopt their values, their principles, their systems, all of they just want what the outcomes of those countries are. If you don't like political parties, make an example of Swaziland. Has it become a China? Has it become a Singapore?
Right.
Huh? And you what you were doing, you were emotionally blackmailing Zimbabweans. You came on saying the toxicity of what they are saying. Yet what you did use as examples was extremes and threats. You were making examples of genocides as if they were caused by these things. No, they were not. They
They
were
were.
caused by ZANU
No, no, no,
PF.
no. They were. So
No,
there's
no,
no ZANU in
multi-parties
Rwanda.
did not cause
There's
genocide.
no Masi Zwana. There's
ZANU
Agula
PF.
ZANU e Rwanda.
No,
Agula
no,
ZANU
no,
e
no,
Burundi.
no,
Agula
Tamsang.
ZANU e
ZANU PF
Cambodia.
went and trained a 5th brigade
No,
in
no, no.
North
No,
Korea.
but I am saying
That
it's
is not a
because it's
multi-parties
because into a
training.
party lay
We did not
makes
have a
you have
civil
a
war
target.
in Zimbabwe. We have never had a tribal war in Zimbabwe.
We've
So
always had
making an
tribal wars in
example,
Zimbabwe,
no,
Masi.
those are not true.
Which
You made
one?
them up as extreme positions to make
Masi.
Zimbabweans feel like they are responsible. They are not.
No,
ZANU
Ungabuza.
PF
No, Tina
does not like
Amasutu, we have always been
democracy.
attacked by
Zimbabwean
Amanyamatai.
people have no issue of democracy. Now
Nah,
you are
no, that's not true.
pandering to ZANU PF.
No, that's not true.
And you are doing this passive aggressive language and making it look like if we persist in loving democracy, well, then this is going to be a consequence. That is exactly what you're saying.
Why don't you let
people
Abantu
do not-
decide?
No. We
Why
let
don't you
you
let Abantu
speak.
decide? You can.
No.
Democracy
The
means you
people
have
of
a
Zimbabwe
voice,
did
Angiti.
decide. They have formed political parties to the tune of 20-something. They've participated in elections. You cannot be ignorant to that and create an idealized position. Read the reality. The reality of the people of Zimbabwe is that they do absolutely love. They've never killed each other in other political parties. You've never.
Okay. I think I'm having some problems with my feed right there. Let me see if I can reconnect. And yeah, greetings to you, good people, everyone who's watching right now. Make sure you join us at 8 o'clock. We'll be discussing about the PRECABE farm, the Mnangagwa farm. What is it all about? Who is the owner of that farm? The controversies around surrounding the farm. So make sure you are here. I will have my father, the comrade, the war vet, comrade Talu, to discuss these issues also. So make sure you tuned in. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and make sure you get all the updates each and every time that I'm broadcasting and posting a video. So as for me, DJ Oli, and the rest of the crew behind the scenes, hopefully I will continue this discussion tomorrow. But for tonight, make sure you join us. Team Bokurukura Tinzo Famba say Jaramira say. Bye for now.
Vana vachingo chemba chikomochie wakasia vana vachingochema chikomochie woyerere 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 vana vari kuchema mutsoka kwazi waichangamire vana vari kuchema mutsoka kwazi waivakurwe woinde mutsoka woyerere mutsoka wakasia vana vachingochema chikomochie wakasia vana vachingochema chikomochie vana vari kuchema mutsoka neandawe vana vari kuchema mutsoka kaguviwe chaminuka we wakasia vana vachingochema chikomochie wakasia vana vachingochema chikomochie vachingochema chikomochie vana vari kuchema